All right, guys, today we're going to be covering the top 5 discovery call questions that you should be asking prospective clients. So if you're like me and you run an agency and you're trying to develop your client acquisition system and get more people enrolled into your recurring services and all that fun stuff, you typically are going to have a sales call where you have to get down to the nitty-gritty of what their pain points are, what they're struggling with, why they aren't growing, etc. For us, we call that the discovery call in our 2-call process. Whatever you call it, you need to make sure that you have a game plan going into it. You know what questions or what type of questions to ask to make sure you understand what is preventing that business owner from growing and reaching the revenue levels that they're trying to get to, and then what questions will lead you down the path of then offering your service to help them solve the problems that they're having. So in this video, we're going to go over the top 5 questions I like to ask on that discovery call. And again, in my agency, we had a 2-call close process where the first call we had with a lead or a prospective client was the intro call or discovery call, and then the second call we had was the demo call or the closing call. So we split it up into 2 different calls. The first call was mainly pre-qualifying, triaging, if you will, and doing the discovery where we get to know their business and their pain points, etc. The second call was when we kind of like laid out the plan of what we're going to do for them and then went for the close, etc. Okay. So without further ado, the top 5 discovery call questions you should be asking. Number 1, ask them a background question or just ask a general question about their business. It's so funny with some prospective clients, you could just straight up ask them like, hey, tell me about your business, and they will just unload on you their life story and all the problems that are going on, etc. The goal of the discovery portion of the call is, of course, to get down to the pain points and what they're really struggling with. But like I said, if you just ask a general open-ended question, sometimes they'll just give you all that information like they're in therapy and they've been waiting to talk to someone about this. And that's all good. That's all good ammo or information we can utilize in the sales conversation. So as an example, you may ask them, so tell me a little bit about your business and what you have going on. Or you may ask them like, okay, so tell me about your business. How long y'all been in business and what main services do you offer? Any kind of general question like that will get them to open up and start talking about their business, how long they've been in business, if it's a family-owned business, what services they offer, what services they used to offer, what services they're planning on offering, about how they want to scale the company or what the future holds for their business. Anything and everything about their business, future and past and present, is going to be good information for you to have. This will also open up the window for you to start asking about their future goals and their plans for scaling the business. Maybe they want to scale it up to a place where they can have an exit. Maybe they want to be able to pass this business down to their kids, in a decade from now. Maybe they want to just build up the business to where they have cash flow and then they can start investing that cash flow, etc. It's really good to understand not only how they want to build the business and to what level they want to build the business to, but also why they want to build the business. For instance, if I ask someone like, hey, what's the goal in regards to like what revenue level you're trying to reach? And they say, oh, I'm trying to reach 80K per month in revenue. The next question I might ask is like, okay, well, what happens at 80K? This is actually a question that a lot of sales reps don't do very well, and they make it like really cheesy and awkward because they'll say something along the lines of like, oh, 80K, and how would that affect you personally? Because that's like the typical sales trainer thing to say, like tell someone to ask about what revenue level they want to reach and then ask them about how that would affect their life. And people do that in a really cheesy way. What I like to say is, what revenue level do you want to get to? And after they tell me, I'll say, oh, 80K. So what happens at 80K? Are you want to get there to like, that's the revenue level you need to reach to hire more employees? Or that's when you're going to be able to start investing cash flow? Or that's the revenue level you need to reach to be able to have an exit, a sizable exit? Like what happens at 80K? So that phrase, like what happens at, and then stating what revenue level they're going after, is a good way to kind of get more information about that. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get like really, really deep with not only where they want the business to be, but why and how that's going to affect their life, but without coming across as cheesy. Okay. The next thing we want to ask in regards to the background questions is financial resource questions, such as how long have you guys been in business? How many employees do you have? All these background questions will give us a really, really good idea of where they are, where they're going, if they might be financially qualified, like how many employees they have, what's the size of their operation, etc. The second type of question we want to ask is a pain question, okay? So like what's preventing them from growing to the level that we just uncovered a minute ago, right? We just talked about their desired outcomes and where they want to get the business to. So the pain is like what's preventing them from getting there? What's not currently working at the level it should be? Okay. So if we ask him something like that and we say like, hey, what's the biggest constraint in your business right now? Or like, what's preventing you from getting to where you just told me you want to go? They may say, oh, we have a good service and, we get some word of mouth and referrals, but those referrals are few and far between. And so we don't really have a predictable way to get more customers. And they may just start to like tell you everything that's wrong with their business and how they're struggling and why they're struggling to increase their revenue, etc. And we want to dig and dig and dig and get as many pain points as possible. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do on the sales call is figure out if they have an issue that's a really hard, like pressing issue, and if our company can come in as the solution, if this entity can help this entity. That's the whole goal of a sales call, okay? So we got to dig deep and figure out what their pain points are, okay? The third question or set of questions, really, because all of these will have sub-questions underneath them, the third set of questions is going to be based around solutions, okay? Now we can ask them things like, what solutions have you tried? How have you been getting more customers? What have you done in the past to solve that problem, right? Now, asking this question might lead them to say something like, oh, well, I've tried this, but it failed. I've tried this, but it failed. I've tried this, but it failed. And so that's another pain point we're digging up. So we ask the pain question, okay? What's preventing you from reaching a certain level? What are your main constraints? And then we ask the solution question, okay, what solutions have you tried, which may lead to discovering more pain because I've tried this and it failed, I've tried this and it failed, etc. And so all we're doing is making sure that they understand that they have a problem, they haven't been able to solve it. They've tried a bunch of different things and it hasn't worked. And that kind of leads us to the next question, which is number 4, an opportunity cost question. Okay. So essentially telling them like, hey, if X is broken or you have this constraint or bottleneck like we just talked about, and you've tried Y, you've tried these other things, but they didn't work. Well, before we got on this call today, what was your plan of action? Before we had this consultation and you met with me, obviously we're about to talk about some solutions here in a minute, but before we got on this call, what were you going to do? What was your plan of action? And they may respond by telling you like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't have a plan. That's why I called you. That's the best answer to get because they are already viewing us as a solution, which is nice. Or they may say like, I don't really know. I was planning on trying these other things, but I'm not sure if they're going to work, etc. And we can essentially paint this picture of like, hey, they're flailing. They're trying to find the solution, but they haven't been able to find it. And then we can ask them the true opportunity cost question, which is like, hey, well, like, what's the opportunity cost of not fixing this problem? Where do you think you would be in 30, 60, 90, 180 days if we didn't solve that constraint that we just talked about? And they may say like, you know what, I don't really know where my business would be in 90 days if I don't solve this problem really, really quickly. I have people tell me like, yeah, we'll probably be out of business in like 6 months if we don't get this issue fixed, right? Now we're like all the way down at the bottom of this well we've dug, like digging up pain points, digging up like the severity of the bottlenecks and the issues and the constraints in their business. So this kind of checks off some of the boxes of the 7 buying beliefs. I'm not going to go through all this now, but in order for someone to buy, they have to have the belief that they have an issue. They haven't been able to solve it themselves. They believe that you have the issue. They believe that there's an opportunity cost to not acting on this solution now, etc. Right? We're just trying to ask the right questions to get them to voice all of those things out of their own mouth. Okay. So up until this point, we've asked about their background. We've asked about pain points. We've asked about what solutions they've implemented. We've asked about, hey, what's the opportunity cost of not finding a solution really, really quickly? Okay. And then number 5 is going to be openness and transition questions. Okay. So let me go ahead and read out a script I wrote quickly before recording this video. The transition from discovery into whether it's setting the next meeting or going into the pitch, depending on whether you do a 1-call close or a 2-call close. The transition script is something like this. I would tell them, well, the good news is we've worked with dozens of companies in your field who have the same problem, and we've been able to help every single one of them fix the same issue. So if I was able to show you how we could apply the same solutions for your business and help you get X amount of outcome so you can XYZ long-term outcome, are you open to having that conversation? And more importantly, are you willing to invest in a solution if it actually solves your problem and helps you start getting more XYZ type of customers? And then sit back and see what they say, okay? So again, this is called the openness and transition question. We're essentially telling them, hey, we just heard about your constraints and your bottlenecks and your pain points. I understand where you're coming from. We actually work with a lot of other businesses in your industry, and we've helped them overcome this problem. So honestly, what I could do right now is I could walk you through what it looks like to have us implement that solution for you, if that's something you're open to, and if you feel like that's something you would invest in to get that problem solved as quickly as possible. Does that sound fair to you? Would you like to hear about that? And we're basically asking permission to then start pitching. Okay, get permission to pitch. We're asking permission to transition into telling them about our services. Okay, so if you go through this whole process of background questions, getting them to open up, pain questions, starting to dig and figuring out what the bottleneck is in their business, solution questions, trying to understand if they have actually tried to solve this problem and what roadblocks they've ran into, then the opportunity cost question, seeing if they understand the severity of not acting on this problem and getting a solution in place quickly, and then the openness and transition question, where we transition into getting their permission to allow us to start to tell them about the solution that we have for their business. That whole process, if you do it correctly, will allow you to get down way deep down to the pain points that they're really struggling with after you peel back layer after layer after layer and really understand where they want to go and the gap in between. And if you really understand where they're now, the pain, where they want to be, and the true desired outcome, and the why behind the why, and then you can speak to the gap in the middle when we talk about opportunity cost and all of that good stuff, that is going to create the kind of emotional momentum we need to really push a deal forward and get, honestly, a one-call close. If you do a two-call close like I do, that's cool, but the deeper you go into that pain and the opportunity cost, the more likely it is that they're just going to sign up on the first call. All right, guys, that does it for this video. The top 5 discovery call questions: background, pain, solutions, opportunity cost, and transition. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Also, comment below and let me know what specific questions you have about this sales process, whether you do a 1-call close or 2-call close, whether you need more help with the discovery portion of the sales conversation or the closing part of the sales conversation. Let me know in the comments below. Also, I have some really exciting news. Finally, our agency sales mastery course is out and ready for you to check it out and purchase if you want to and all that good stuff. It's just $39. I'll put it in the links below. The agency sales mastery course goes through the 6 pillars of your agency, from lead generation to sales process, closing, onboarding, fulfillment, account management. It talks about how to generate more leads for your agency. It talks about all this sales psychology stuff that I barely touched on in this video. And it talks about how to get those deals closed and enroll more clients and build your client acquisition machine. There's like so much stuff in there. So if you want to check that out, the course part of it is just $39. There's a couple upsells, like I have some done for you email templates and done for you scripting and like a workshop on how to hire appointment setters and closers. There's like some $17 upsells and stuff like that, but just the course itself is $39. If you're trying to grow your agency and you're trying to really focus on building your client acquisition machine for your marketing company, I highly recommend grabbing it. Again, it'll be in the description below. Having said that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informative. Like, subscribe, comment below, let me know what topics you want me to cover next. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.